What's up, everybody? You're watching another episode of the Bodacious Rant with Burn and Rye. Hope everybody's doing great. I know I am. I'm sure Burn is fine. Do I care about his feelings? Absolutely not.
No one does. Burn, it's okay.
No. Oh, now you're just pulling a drag. So you're just getting depressing now.
You know, anyways, I walk a sad and lonely road. You know, very isolating, like Spider-Man. You know, like he can't have all these personal relationships because he's off saving the world, and I'm doing the same thing. You know, with this podcast. Saving lives.
You know what? Yes, let's think. You know what, Burn? I do appreciate that positively. Let's roll with that. So, of course, you guys know we are talking about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. So I am super excited to talk about it. And do not forget, it's a non-spoiler review. So we're gonna save all the good stuff for, later in time. But for now, do not forget to give us a like, ring the bell, and of course subscribe. We do appreciate you all and want to keep growing the community. And also our Little Mermaid review is still out, so don't forget to check that. And Fast X if you haven't seen those already. But let's get started, shall we? So, for those of you who have seen the Spider-Man Spider-Verse, like the last one was Into the Spider-Verse, this one is, right after that, essentially. Miles is coming into his own as the Spider-Man of, his Earth, like his dimension. And he's growing up. He's becoming a bigger kid now. And little does he know, well, essentially a new villain comes in known as the Spot, and in doing so it causes problems for the multiverse. And that's when Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099, played by Oscar Isaac, comes in, along with Jessica Drew's Spider-Woman, played by Issa Rae, right?
Issa Rae, yeah.
Issa Rae. And of course we see some also fan favorites like Spider-Gwen, played by Haley Steinfeld. Peter Parker, Spider-Man from the last movie, played by
Jake Johnson.
What's the guy's? Jake Johnson. Thank you, from New Girl and Let's Be Cops and all that good stuff. So it was a fun time to be had at the movies. I really liked it, and the Spider-Verse movies so far, you can't argue that these are not the best animated ones. And it's crazy to believe, in my opinion, that this one topped the last one in animation because it blended so much together. They really improved. They enhanced even more of the whole comic book feel with this movie, and the character design just, I think, never ceases to amaze me. They definitely have fun with the designs for these Spider-Men and stuff. And being across the Spider-Verse, you'll probably see your favorite Spider-Man. If not, you'll find a couple new ones because there's so many in this movie. Before I keep going, Burn, what did you think of this movie?
Look, man, following up Into the Spider-Verse is a tough task, because arguably I would say Into the Spider-Verse is one of the most influential movies released in the last few years. I mean, we've seen everything that's come after that when it comes to the superhero genre. Everyone's doing a multiverse story now. I mean, even like live action Spider-Man movies touched on the multiverse. And of course, we're building up to that in the MCU. And we've seen in the animation side of things, a lot of the movies, animation movies that have come out in the last few years have tried to imitate or use some of the style that we saw in Into the Spider-Verse, where we have that blending of 2D and 3D, like the DreamWorks movies that have come out lately come to mind, Arcane on Netflix. So again, needless to say, how do you make a sequel to that movie and have it be as good as it? Well, you do what they did here, which is like double down on a lot of the aspects that work, which is, namely the animation. You just topped it, like you said. Like, I don't know how they were able to do that, but they just leaned far further into it, and here we get, I'm pretty sure, almost every single animation style that we've gotten so far, like in like media in general, like it's present here, and it's used to really good effect. Like, it's not just there just to be there. Like, it feels like it's there like for story purposes. And they also doubled down on characters too. Like, one of the biggest reasons why Into the Spider-Verse was the success with that was because it was a great story about Miles, coming into, his power of becoming Spider-Man, like the, great power and great responsibility, right? Like, that last movie was about him getting the great power, having this Spider-Man role thrust upon him, and him, in him acting on the call to action. And in this one, it deals with the responsibility of it all. Now that you're the superhero, what does that mean for both you and the city you're saving, and the personal relationships you have. Being Spider-Man is a tough task. So how does Miles specifically respond to that? And that's what this movie deals with, and I think it handles it perfectly.
It does, and again, the addition being given, we saw several Spider-Man played by some great actors last one, especially Spider-Man Noir played by Nick Cage in the last movie. Again, I was looking forward to this one for ever since they did that little like trailer last year, that little short, essentially that action scene between Miles and Miguel in Mumbattan and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool to see him in the movie. Like Oscar Isaac killed it. I kind of would love to see Oscar Isaac don live action the Spider-Man 29/9 suit, just because
sure.
I think he's such an interesting character, and I'm glad they really dive deep into his, a little bit of everybody's, especially Gwen's. The voice acting is on par. Like everybody really sells these characters and the animation beautifully, and so I can't praise that enough. And
you forget that these performances are animated, right? Like the way they're acting in these scenes, it feels like they're people. Like you're watching people do these things in terms of like the emotion and stuff.
Well, I think just the animation's gotten so good. Like, I don't think of necessarily as people. It's mind blowing that this one and the last one are like moving comic books. Literally motion pictures, and that's the beauty of it. That's where again you have to give props to it. It was such a great movie, and because of that, I'm definitely gonna give it a 4 out of 5. It is damn near perfect. Just a couple little things that I would just more nitpicks than anything. Like the only two things that really kind of got me was just because I felt that parts it was a little long, a little, like I think the duration maybe could have sped certain stuff up, and then sometimes the animation, because there's so many different styles, can feel a little much, but the flip side to that con is that the way this movie can do so many animations and it still works overall is just a feat of its own. So I really liked it. I definitely want to see it again. I saw it in IMAX, so I'll probably try Dolby, or if I can't get IMAX again, I'm definitely gonna go for it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally understand those nitpicks, because I do share some of the same sentiments. I think this movie does clock in at like 2 hours and 20 minutes, I think. And for an animated movie, and for really any movie, really, that is a little bit long. And again, especially for an animated movie, which usually clock in at like sub 2 hours. So as much as I didn't want this movie to end, by the time the movie did end, I was like, damn, I want more. There are certain parts in there that I do agree where the pacing just feels like it does get a little bit long in the tooth. But like I said, by the time I got to the end of it, I wanted more. And also the fact that this is very much a part one story. This does feel, at the end of the day, it does feel a little bit incomplete, in terms of the overall plot. Like, this is definitely going to be wrapped up in Beyond the Spider-Verse, which I believe comes out in March of next year. So not too long of a wait, but it is a wait nonetheless to get, the end to the story. That being said, though, I do think that the characters here are absolutely serviced in the best ways possible. I mean, it's not like a Fast X situation where the movie just kind of ends awkwardly and it's like, well, I guess you're going to have to find out what happens in the part 2 of it. Like, it feels like there was a lot of emotional work done here in this movie.
You didn't want a Sopranos ending? Just, it's over. Just the sun cut to black. That's what I thought of when you brought up the Fast X.
Yeah, the movie just ends and it's just like, wait, hold on, is that the whole thing? Like, no, like this movie builds up to a climax where you're like, okay, this feels like it is a fitting end to want to lead to the next one. So, like I said, the character work done here is really the center stage, which I was very surprised by. As much as like you would think that a multiversal story would kind of be about the broader plot and about all these crazy things and be overwhelming and just insane, I was surprised by how this movie retained that emotional core of the first one, you know, where we have each character and their own arcs and their own wants, and how those wants like sort of lead them to conflict with each other, and that's where we get, you know, the push and pull of these characters and how they're operating in this world. Like, it feels so fleshed out, and again, like, it's one of those things that you wouldn't expect from an animated movie, which could sometimes lend itself more to the spectacle rather than, you know, the story and the heart of it all. But here they make sure to keep that focus on the characters and their story, and I think they did a fantastic job in that aspect. So yeah, I think as of right now, I will give this a 4 out of 5 also, but I reserve the right to amend that once we get the end to this story. You know, once part 3 comes out and we get the full, you know, breadth of what this story is, it'll be easier to judge. But because it is incomplete at this time, and it does feel a little bit long in the tooth at certain moments, I will give it a 4 out of 5 for now. Again, let's check back in March and see what we think about this whole story. Because if that movie nails it, this could potentially be one of the best trilogies of any movie, like, of all time, you know. Like, it's that good.
I'm gonna have to save this segment, so it's like, Bernie, what did you think from last year? These are your words. Just like that kind of journalism, like, Bern, I have you saying this on camera.
It's a big like, gotcha moment.
That wasn't me.
I don't remember saying that. It was clearly edited to make it seem like I said those things, but I didn't say it. No, I will stand by that. This movie is excellent.
Yeah, and again, like I said, the character design, like, they, you know, like, Miles' new suit looks great. Gwen still looks amazing. I'm glad they just ripped it right out of the comics. Mm-hmm. And again, the way they tweaked, like, Jessica Drew's and Miguel's suits, they just look awesome. I can't speak that enough. So it is available everywhere, guys. It is IMAX and Dolby. What were you going to say, Bernard?
Oh, just very quickly, a shout out before I forget, to the composer of this movie, Daniel Pemberton. My God, the music in this movie was so good. I think in the last movie, it sort of took a little bit of a back seat to the licensed music, like a lot of the big, you know, the Post Malone's, you know, Sunflower song, you know, a lot of like Biggie Smalls and a lot of like, you know, more licensed songs, I think, took center stage and into the Spider-Verse. Where in this one, the things I walked away from really thinking of was the original musical score by Daniel Pemberton. I just wanted to throw that out there because, man, the music in this movie, along with the visuals, just amazing.
Absolutely, Bern. I agree with you 100%. It really I've definitely felt sometimes it's better when movies have more original scores. It just feels more natural. Mm-hmm. I kind of hate the needle drops in most movies. The only exceptions are like really James Gunn's, because he knows how to pick them. But
yeah, Gunn, Tarantino, Edgar Wright. You know, the ones that do it well, which is a rare group.
Exactly. But that's a conversation for another time, Bern. For those of you who have had a chance to see it already, let us know in the comments, what did you think of this movie? Did you love it as much as we did? Was it definitely too long? Are you not into Spider-Man, especially after this one? I'd love to know. We both would love to know. So definitely let's keep the conversation going on that. We got a lot more stuff coming out soon. Also, I would definitely recommend The Boogeyman. That was a really good movie. Maybe we'll talk about that in another episode. But until next time, everyone, let's stay bodacious and keep on ranting for the both of us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good. Be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.